At 5:23 local time, two MH-60 Romeo helicopters were slicing just 40 feet above the Persian Gulf, running what was supposed to be a routine strike. Hit the boats, destroy the mines, be back before sunrise. Easy. But someone was already watching them. For 4 full minutes, a gunner on a ridge ahead had tracked their silhouettes growing against the dawn sky. He didn't need radar, he didn't need guidance systems, just a clear line of sight, and his finger already tightening on the trigger. The helicopters hadn't even seen the pier yet. Then the sky lit up. Twin streams of tracer fire ripped across the water like lines drawn with a blowtorch. The Romeros weren't built for this. Their thin aluminum skin could shrug off small arms fire, but not 23mm rounds. One hit in the wrong place, and the aircraft wouldn't crash. It would drop instantly. The pilot reacted without hesitation, slamming the collective down and dropping even lower, hugging the ocean at just 40 feet. It worked, barely. The gun on the ridge physically couldn't angle low enough to follow. For a moment, they had survived. But that move created a new problem. At that altitude, the helicopter's massive rotor blades were hammering the surface of the Gulf, leaving behind a glowing thermal trail, visible for nearly 30 seconds. A perfect path. A bright, unmistakable line pointing directly to them. Every gunner on that island could now track them, without ever needing to see them. And the worst part? The guns weren't the real threat. Somewhere on that island, soldiers were already preparing shoulder-fired, heat-seeking missiles. Small, silent, and deadly. The kind of weapon you don't detect until it's already on its way. The kind you can't outrun if it locks on. Above it all, a Reaper drone had been watching for hours. From 12,000 feet, it could see everything. The boats, the mines, the movement. What it couldn't see were the threats that didn't look like targets. A man standing in a doorway, a soldier holding a tube on his shoulder, invisible until it was too late. And right now, those boats below weren't just sitting there. They were loading naval mines, devices that had already cut off nearly 20% of the world's oil supply in just 4 nights. This wasn't a patrol anymore. This was a race against time. The helicopter's targeting officer locked onto the first boat. Through the infrared sensor, the mines glowed clearly. Hot, distinct, impossible to miss. He steadied the laser. Rifle. A Hellfire missile dropped from the wing and ignited, streaking toward the target. 8 seconds. That's all it would take. But 8 seconds is a long time when someone is firing directly at you. The gunner on the ridge saw the launch flash instantly. His tracers adjusted mid-air, walking closer, closer. The missile hit. The boat split apart at the waterline. One of the mines detonated, triggering a violent secondary explosion that sent debris flying across the pier. And for a split second, it looked like a clean hit. But then everything went white. The infrared system overloaded from the blast. The screen blanked. The crew couldn't see anything. 4 seconds. That's how long they were blind. And in those 4 seconds, every enemy on that island now knew exactly where they were. The flash had given them away. The gun and the ridge locked onto their position. Nearby, a missile operator powered on his launcher. 5 seconds to activation. The helicopter hovered in place, completely exposed. For the first time in the entire engagement, they needed to fire again. The screen flickered back. Shapes reappeared. Boats moving. Engines roaring to life. The second target was already trying to escape. Rifle! Another missile launched. This time, the incoming fire was even closer. The crew could hear the rounds cutting through the airframe. Still, the pilot held steady. He had to. If the laser broke, the missile would miss. 7 seconds. The missile hit. No secondary explosion. The mines weren't armed yet. April 4th, 2026, 9:20 a.m. Kink. One more boat was already drifting, damaged from the first blast. The next Hellfire erased it completely. 3 targets destroyed in under 90 seconds. But now came the real problem. At the far end of the pier, a fast attack craft had broken free and was accelerating into open water. It was armed. It was fast. And it was firing back. Hundreds of rounds per minute stitching across the water. And somewhere above, a missile team had just gotten a lock. Now the pilot faced an impossible choice. Stay low and the missile couldn't track them. But the Hellfire wouldn't work at that angle. Climb higher and the missile would lock instantly. There was only a narrow band of survivable airspace, less than 100 feet. Too low, you fail the mission. Too high, you don't come back. The pilot made his decision. He climbed. The change in engine pitch was all the missile operator needed. The seeker locked on. A solid tone filled his headset. The helicopter was now a glowing target against the sky. At the same time, gunfire from below intensified. 3 separate threats, gunfire, missile, and a fast-moving target, all converging at once. The targeting officer locked onto the speeding boat. It was bouncing across the waves at over 40 knots. He steadied the laser. Rifle. The missile launched. The helicopter shook as rounds passed dangerously close. The co-pilot flinched as a tracer cut across their field of view. Still, the laser held. Seconds stretched. Then, impact. The missile struck the engine housing. The mines on board detonated in a chain reaction, erupting into a massive fireball visible for miles. The pilot dropped altitude instantly, diving below the ridge and breaking line of sight. Behind them, the missile operator lowered his launcher. Too late. He never got the shot. The remaining boats were cleaned up quickly. One after another, they disappeared in controlled explosions. The pier was burning from end to end. It should have been over, but 60 miles north, it wasn't. A Reaper drone had been watching another harbor, and what it saw made everything that just happened look small. More boats, more mines, and something bigger. A landing craft loaded with over 40 naval mines was already preparing to move. If those mines reached open water, the entire shipping lane could shut down for weeks. The drone operator requested authorization. 14 seconds later, it came through. He fired. The first strike hit clean, detonating multiple mines and destroying 2 boats at once. But then something changed. A new signal appeared. Fast, hot, closing. A loitering interceptor missile. Unlike anything else, it gave no warning, no radar signal, no alert. It simply appeared, already on target. The drone pilot reacted, braking hard as the missile closed in. It missed, barely. But there wasn't just one. A second interceptor was already climbing, and this one had a better angle. At the same time, the landing craft had broken free and was heading toward open water. Now it came down to timing. The Hellfire missile needed 24 seconds to reach the target. The incoming threat needed 20 seconds to reach the drone. 4 seconds. That was the margin. The operator held the laser steady. No panic, no movement, just precision. At the last possible moment, the drone broke away, deploying countermeasures as the missile closed in. And then, impact. The Hellfire struck the center of the landing craft. The explosion didn't come in a single blast. It rolled. One pallet after another, detonating in a chain reaction that tore the vessel apart from bow to stern. A massive fireball rose into the sky. The incoming interceptor vanished into it, gone, just like that. In under 40 minutes, 2 helicopters and 2 drones had death. Erased an entire mining operation. Over 60 naval mines destroyed. Multiple vessels gone. A global crisis avoided. But here's what makes this different. It wasn't overwhelming force. It wasn't superior numbers. It came down to seconds. April 4th, 2026 9:20 a.m. Kenki. 4 seconds of blindness. 7 seconds of exposure. A 4-second margin between success and losing everything. And if even one of those moments had gone differently, the outcome wouldn't just have changed the mission, it would have changed the world. If this kept you on the edge of your seat, subscribe for more real-world military breakdowns. Like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.